Meal Show, 3 to 5 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
There are things that we experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in a corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us, share your story, share your evidence, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is Ghostbox Radio.
And this is Ghostbox Radio on AM 950, where every week we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, or just the unusual. My name is Greg Bakken, and thank you very much for joining me today, as finally in the Twin Cities area, we're getting some kind of rain, which is always a good thing. And even more exciting, I'm going to say it, even more exciting is getting some storms. I mean, that's where it's at for me. I love getting the storms. I love tracking the storms. I love going chasing the storms. The problem is, of course, is, and I say this every single time, is that you got to be careful when you're doing this, that you are not trying to, you don't want people to get hurt. I'd love to see a tornado, but that doesn't mean I want to see a tornado rip through a town, obviously. What I'm really looking for is just to be able to track it and see it. And I live in an area that has, well, it's getting more and more built up all the time, but living in an area that has lots of open fields and stuff, farms, all that stuff, that's all right then. That is okay. But everything else, I don't want to see devastation. I always feel like I have to say that when I talk about storm chasing, because I think it's an unwritten rule, but at the same time, I just really want to be careful about all that as well. We're going to have, excuse me, I still have my COVID cough, so you'll have to excuse me. And then, of course, only on the air is it that the whatever I was drinking goes down the wrong, the wrong pipe or whatever. So, I'm just a mess over here today. But today we're talking about basically whatever you want, and a lot of paranormal stuff. And I put it out there on my Facebook page, Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken on Facebook. If you have an opportunity, please go and like that page. We're talking about whatever we want to, and people sent through topics that they thought that we could talk about, some questions about me, I guess, which seems kind of odd to me a little bit, but at the same time, we can do it. It's got some interesting questions. Now, if you've been listening to AM 950, and if you're not, you should, but if you've been listening to AM 950, you might be hearing some commercials on the air regarding Ghostbox Radio. And we'll talk a little bit more about it in a second. But the news here is that we're moving from a Sunday show, Ghostbox Radio, moving from a Sunday show, moving to 5 nights a week. That is pretty incredible. And I'm still in shock about it. Let's be very honest. And I'm really excited for that. That starts July 10th. We're moving to 5 nights a week, Ghostbox Radio. And we've been really planning a lot of stuff, a lot of guests, a lot of interviews, all sorts of wonderful things that I am just really, really excited to talk more about. We'll get to that a little bit later, but I do want to talk about some of the stuff that has come through. And we also have some updates on some events that we're doing. We added some events. And also I want to throw out there for everybody, please know, you can go and I have a website now. I didn't have a website before, ghostboxradio.com. And there you're going to see all the events that we're all going to be at. You're going to be able to, once we get some authors on, which will happen more when we do the nightly show, we're going to put all the books on there as well that we've been talking about, reviewing everything, so that if you are interested in the book, listen to the show. We'll put the link in the show, but at the same time, you can go to the website, see that book, see the link for it, and order it there. Because the authors, most of the authors we'll be talking to are either self-published or they're publishing through a smaller publisher, and we just want to help these people out the best that we can. So we're really excited to be able to kind of do that. Hopefully people take advantage of it. And then every time we have a new show, you can easily go there and listen to it, as well as always on am950radio.com as well. But, I do like to have people check out ghostboxradio.com, see what's going on there. We're really excited about that. So that is really, that's really the news. I mean, that's really the exciting part about it. A little bit later, we're going to be talking about the Dave Schrader event that we have going on in August. We have some good news about that. Bad news for some, good news in general, though. I mean, it's doing very well. But I wanted to get to some of this stuff real quick before we take our first break. And the one thing that I really wanted to kind of get to is the questions. And if you have questions you want to ask, not about me, but in general about the paranormal, ufology, and quite frankly, folks, you're listening and you hear questions that you think you have an answer to, let us know. Put it in the comments. We're not taking phone calls today. I'm running the board by myself, and that's something I'm still kind of learning as we go, because you got to screen the calls. I can't just put on anyone willy nilly. I have to screen them as well, and we just don't. That would be great. When it call anyone who calls in, I just put them through. You got to kind of screen them. So we're not taking calls today, but we are on the Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken Facebook page. We are on Things Network, Temple of Phoenix Rising. We are on a number of other Facebook pages that we're streaming. Go there, leave a comment, say hi, do whatever you want to do. Miki, well, actually, I'm going to back up here. Brian had asked, because this is a quicker one here. Brian had asked, why don't you share your background story? Like, what got you interested in the paranormal? He's like, I've never heard it. And my first response to that was simply, well, that sounds like a very boring, bit of radio, quite frankly, but I'll do it anyway. And, we'll see how it goes. But, the question about being paranormal, and you talk to a lot of people and they have absolutely amazing stories that you'd be like, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. In fact, you'll also get skeptics who will have amazing stories. They're the ones. And if you've ever been around people talking about spirits and ghosts and stuff, and you have this thing where you run into a skeptic, and remember, folks, nothing's wrong with a skeptic, right? But you get on a skeptic and you say to them, have you ever had any sort of paranormal experience? And they're like, I don't believe in this. Absolutely not. It's ridiculous. But there was that one time that, and then they'll go through this story that is absolutely like one of the best spirit stories I've ever heard in my life, where there's full-grown apparitions, shadow people, things are moving. You can hear disembodied voices. Basically, everything in my radio show Open is happening to these people. And I'm like, well, there was that. All right. Wow, that's pretty incredible. And then there was this other time, they would say, they'd just be, you realize that they've had a full-fledged, wonderful paranormal life, but they're skeptics. They don't believe. To each their own. You got to be healthy with it. I understand that completely. But my question is, what does it take then for you to believe if you've had all these amazing things happen to you and you're still not believing, you're still not accepting it? And once again, to each their own. But it's pretty incredible. And I say that because, once again, my story is not super incredible. I actually didn't get into the paranormal properly until, I would say, about 15, 16 years ago. And it was actually through the shows, which, sometimes you hear me be a little critical about them. I did have paranormal activity when I was younger. And that was when my grandmother died. My mom's mom died. I was about 4 years old. It was a big shock for everybody, especially for my mother. My grandma wasn't that old. And after the funeral, I remember very vividly being in the living room of our family home in St. Anthony Village, and this waft of rose scent comes through, just in and out, and like, wow. And I just like, what was that? That's the 4-year-old Greg said, what was that? And my mom's like, that's Grandma. Just matter of factly, that's Grandma. I thought for years I had dreamt that. Like, that didn't really happen. And one day, I think it was like Easter back in, like, I don't know, 2013 or something like that. Just Mom, Dad, and myself around the kitchen table. And I went through that story with them. And I asked, was this real? Did this really happen? The rose scent and everything? And my mom's like, absolutely. And then she went on to tell me that there was, that when she would go downstairs, my grandma used to stay in her house and used to stay in the basement and used to sleep on the couch downstairs. And after she died, Mom would go downstairs and just for a fleeting second would see Grandma still on the couch, laying on the couch. And we call that residual energy, is what we call that. And, I don't disbelieve that at all. And I think that that's something that's been ingrained. And I think residual hauntings can be between, the person who's experiencing them, as well as what's the energy in the building, in the location. So it's been pretty crazy. And that house that we lived in never really, there was always areas, and we always talk about like basements and stuff. But the point, the truth is that the basement of that house was always pretty questionable, I guess. Maybe that's the best way to put it. It always seemed to be just a little bit off. And in fact, it took many, 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 many years later for me to realize and actually experience it firsthand as far as the hauntings that were going on in that house. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take our first break? When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about what happened in that house, how I got into the paranormal. We're going to be talking about the scariest haunted places of all time. We got a lot more to talk about, plus your input. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950.
Hey, it's Tom. Going solar is a great way to save on energy costs. By using the sun to power your house, you can feel good about an investment that will last for years. All Energy Solar is a locally trusted turnkey solar installer that's been around since 2009. They provide custom designs and quality installations of solar panel systems that work for your energy needs. One of the best parts about going solar is it's an investment that can pay for itself. Your system can pay back 100% of the installation cost in as little as 8 years. Plus, a system from All Energy Solar can pay back over 300% of its cost over its lifetime. There's also many tax incentives and rebates available, and the experts at All Energy Solar can walk you through the entire process to make sure you're saving as much as possible. So go green, both financially and environmentally, with All Energy Solar. Get a free, no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com.
If you own a holistic or metaphysical business and are looking to expand, then you need to be listed on metamorphosisconnections.com. It's a network where you can grow with like-minded practitioners and reach new clients. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory you need to list yourself and your business. Our platform makes it easy for you to create listings of your products and services, and you can also choose to list your classes, events, and so much more. Metamorphosisconnections.com helps you create weekly and monthly promotional ads targeted towards your potential clients and promotes them for you via social media and newsletter. There are clients searching for your specialty right now. Let us help them find you. Start your listing today so you can share your own unique gifts and talents by finding the level of membership that best fits your needs. Let us help you reach your clients that are searching for what you do. Visit metamorphosisconnections.com and sign up today.
The place for summer fun is the Park Tavern. Live music is taking over the Park Tavern's dog-friendly patio this summer. Head over on Tuesday, June 27th for Bryce Heggie, Wednesday, June 28th for Ash St. John, and on Thursday, June 29th, it's Annalise L. Music runs from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m., and reservations are highly recommended. And the Park Tavern offers private and semi-private spaces for small and large groups with no room fees and no minimum spending requirements. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, get your summer groove on at the Park Tavern.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. My name is Greg Bach, and thank you very much for joining me today. We are just talking about all sorts of wonderful things, and going to be just kind of keeping it pretty casual today, as we are in kind of a lazy Sunday afternoon, I must say. Very exciting. It's just nice to kind of chill a little bit, to be very honest. And also, I noticed that I am in the absolute bunker of the universe, being in the station, because I'm trying to share this radio broadcast to my own page, and it's not working, and that's simply because I don't think we're getting much of a radio signal. We are getting radio signals down here. Oh, now it worked. Look at that. So not anyone's going to be paying attention on my own page, of course, but now that I've done it, and now that I complained about it, now it's all working. So that's good. Where we left off with the amazing story about how I got into the paranormal and my house, my lightly haunted house. I don't think it was anything bad, like, some places that, definitely had some really, really nasty energy when you talk to people who have grown up in really haunted settings. But what was really interesting is that my sister's father-in-law passed away probably, I think, about maybe 4 or 5 months after my father had passed away. And I was over at Mom's house, and she's never talked to me before about any sort of like paranormal anything. And we were just before we went to the wake, she was telling me about that she hears voices in the house, people talking with each other. And I thought, oh, okay, that's very interesting. I never heard this before. I never knew anything about this. And I kind of was like, no, you haven't. I hate to say it. That's kind of my first reaction sometimes when people tell me about paranormal activity. It's not like, oh my gosh, we got to figure out. It's more like, I doubt you have. I'm really good at that. And so I was like, okay, I've never heard you say a word about this before. It's probably like the heat turning on. It's just unfortunate that I really didn't believe it. So we go to the wake, we come back, and I'm sitting at the kitchen table, and I have a TV guide or something, and Mom's going to turn on the TV. She turns on the TV, and I'm looking at this TV guide, and I'm hearing voices, and I'm like, okay, what is she watching? And I shut down, I close the TV guide, I look at the TV's not on, but I can hear these voices. And I looked at my mom, and she's like, see, those are the voices I hear. It was a conversation. It was a conversation between two people. And it was really interesting. And then it stopped. And I don't know what that was. And once again, we talked earlier about residual energy. Maybe that is it. Maybe it's even a conversation between my mom and dad. I mean, my dad had passed. My mom hadn't at that point. But who's to say that it had anything to do with spirit. Might have been some sort of thinning of the veil where time is involved. I mean, that's what's so cool about this topic, is that it could be anything. It could be literally anything. So I just really, when people are skeptical about paranormal in general, I think you're really missing out, because it can be about anything. But getting back to how I got into this, you had these light moments of paranormal activity in the house, but watching the programs was really something that I just loved, because I didn't do it for the scare factor. I did it because some of the equipment that I saw was really interesting. And one of them, of course, is one that I use quite a bit. It's called a spirit box, which is a radio that scans through radio frequencies. And the theory behind it is that the energy creates energy for the white noise creates energy so that spirits can talk to us, which is unbelievable. So what do? Is I get one, and we go, meaning my friend Jeff and I worked at an advertising agency in downtown Minneapolis in a very old building. The building dated back to 1916. I mean, yeah, there's older buildings, but this was old. He was into the paranormal, and I'm like, next time you're in town, because he actually works in Texas and he satellite, remotes in. Next time you're in town, I'm going to have a spirit box, and let's do our own investigation. And the creepy basement, every building has to have one of those. He gets in. I went to that very well-known paranormal store called Amazon, and I got a spirit box, and it was sent over to me. It's one I actually still use. I have 30 spirit boxes, but I still use this particular one as much as I can, called an SB7. It's a mass-produced one. We went down to the creepy basement. Now, listen, they all call it a creepy basement. Now, what I know as creepy is not that. That is not creepy. I've been to places that are creepy. This is well lit. It's dark in areas, but it's not a creepy basement. And that was something that was really pretty incredible now looking back at it. So the thing is that we are trying to use the spirit box, and the first time I turned it on, is there somebody here? Can I have your name, please? And the first thing we got was Nate. The name Nate came through. Nothing else, just the name Nate. Like, Nate, do you have a last name? And the name Lund came through. L-U-N-D, Lund. I mean, we just turned it on. We've never had it on before. And we're in this, creepy basement. Now, where we were sitting in the basement was kind of creepy, because you had to kind of crawl through certain areas to be able to get to the room we're in, because doors were locked and stuff. And we asked how old you were. And we got a number. We didn't get like a age, but we got some number that came through. And then I asked, is there anyone else here? And a female voice at that point just says, hello. Well, hello. We go upstairs, and we ask the question to the room, in one of the rooms upstairs on the 12th floor. We had the spirit box running, and I'm just curious. It's running, and I said, my name is Greg. This is Jeff. Could you say Greg, and can you say Jeff, please? Just basically say our names. And it's all of a sudden you hear Greg, Jeff. Now, keep in mind, all this stuff is recorded. So it's not like I'm telling something that didn't happen, that there is no backup to it. We definitely got all of that. And I don't know. It was, for the first night, it was pretty crazy. And from then on out, I decided I wanted to form a paranormal team, which was just myself. And I had a friend that I met named Nicole. And we ended up going around doing a web series, trying to make something out of it, just in terms of doing paranormal investigations and stuff. And it was pretty incredible. And, it just kind of, like many of us, it just adds up and adds up and adds up. And we're still all doing it now. And we met so many people along the way, including, people I work very closely with now, such as Shar. we've had Denise and Ernie Pack on. They're not from Minnesota, but you learn to, you meet these people along the way and you realize you have same interests, same sort of, and I can't stress this enough, ideology about how to paranormal investigate. And that is a question that I would like to explore just a little bit more. And we'll do this. Let's take another break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what it means to actually do a paranormal investigation, how difficult it can be, but also how rewarding it is. You are listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950.
Hey, it's Patrick. While you and your family are ready for summer, make sure your home is ready for summer too. There are going to be a lot of people over at your house for those barbecues and graduation parties in June. So make sure to check in with my friends at Zero Res to make sure your floors are in tip-top shape. And now that summer is finally here, it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the year. Carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified, so it's time to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res. It's also the perfect time of year to get your air ducts and your dryer vent cleaned too. You've waited and now you save. Book now and take advantage of the summer sale and get 20% off all services. Schedule your appointment by calling 9520-RES or going to ZeroResMinnesota.com and asking for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Hi, this is Angela Warner for Warner Stellian Appliance. Do you have a dishwasher that doesn't really clean your dishes, so you have to? Or a refrigerator that kind of keeps your milk cold and you've just been waiting for the right time to buy? Well, Warner Stellian has the lowest prices of the season with exclusive savings, including free dishwasher installation on brands like Bosch, and up to 10% off and a bonus for each additional appliance you buy for up to $1,000. See what I mean at WarnerStellian.com.
Ghostboxers. You asked for it and you got it. Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken moves to 5 nights a week starting July 10th at 10 p.m. 5 nights of talking about ghosts, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. We're talking about the paranormal every Monday through Friday. Join us and step into the unknown with Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken starting Monday night, July 10th at 10 p.m. if you dare.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. Over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
So you heard the commercial, I hope, the wonderful commercial that we are actually moving to 5 nights a week starting July 10th. Ghostbox Radio is moving to a nightly spot on AM 950. That is, I mean, that's a dream come true for me. I mean, I've had a background in broadcasting for a very long time, and just the opportunity to be able to do that is absolutely outstanding. So I do want to thank Chad very much for giving me that opportunity. And I also like to thank Brett and Patrick and Adam for their work as I'm doing the board myself, and that they took a lot of time to help me out with that. So July 10th, we're going to be, we're stacking up the guests now. We're going to be talking about all sorts of different paranormal topics, and also getting some UFO stuff figured out and talked about. And we're going to throw in some conspiracy theory. We're going to throw in some true crime, just some really interesting history stuff. And I'm really excited to be able to see where this goes, because there's a lot of things that we can talk about. If you have any kind of idea of what you want to talk about, what you want to see in the show, just drop me a line. Comment at ghostboxradio.com. That's the email address. Comment at ghostboxradio.com. Send me some suggestions. If there's a guest that you want me to try to get, let me know. I'll see what I can do. Also, if there's a topic, if there's a book that you think that we should be talking about, if you have a book that you think we should be talking about, let me know. We'll see if we can make it work. It's all about, we want to get this information out to a wider audience, is the way that I see it. And I think that this radio show can certainly do it. And don't forget, if you haven't done so already, go to Facebook and like my page, Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken. Also, you can go to Twitter at MNGhostbox. And then, of course, the new website, ghostboxradio.com. That's where you're going to find all the old episodes. Also, I'm putting up there episodes from the other places that I've done some of the radio shows, so that you can kind of get the breadth of the type of shows that we've been doing. So really excited for it. Also, wanted to let everyone know for the Dave Schrader Anderson House event, August 18th through 20th, we're still selling tickets. You can still get tickets, but note that the Anderson House Hotel is sold out, which I know that's going to be a bummer for some people, but it's exciting for us, because we are happy to be able to bring a lot of people to the wonderful Anderson House Hotel. It's the first time that Dave Schrader has ever done any sort of investigation there. So we're really excited to see what he picks up there. Some of us have been there many a times. The hotel's sold out. Doesn't mean that you can't go. If you get a ticket and you go to charvinity.com/event, you can see it on the menu, events, and get a ticket. What Char is going to do is she's going to send you a note back telling you where you can get a hotel room, and the overflow. And also, you can be put onto a waiting list in case any hotel rooms open up for the event. It's still going to be an amazing time. If you are considering it, if you're on the fence of doing it, do so. We're not selling tickets for the rest of time. We have a number in mind that we're going to cut off at. So if you're thinking about doing it, please do so. Once again, the Anderson House Hotel is fully booked, but you can still take part in the event. It will just tell you some options for other places to get a hotel room. And we're really excited. I hope that isn't a deterrent. We understand why it might be, but it's going to be an amazing weekend, I think. And it's really one of a kind, because even if we bring Dave Schrader back for an event there, he will have already investigated there once. So if you haven't investigated there before, and he hasn't investigated there before, talk about really a kind of a cool, experiment to see what you all come up with. Because don't forget, at this event, we're going to have him talk and stuff, but you're going to be able to investigate with him. And, for those of you who may forget who Dave is, because not everyone is as well versed as some of us, don't forget Dave Schrader. He did Darkness Radio here in town for a number of years. He was on the amazing program, The Holzer Files. And he's on Paranormal 60. He does his Facebook live stream. It's, truly, truly a wonderful person, as well as a great storyteller. So definitely, if you're thinking about it, August 18th through 20th, I think you'll have a great time. Where we left off, where I was kind of edging ourselves into, Diana had sent a note. She asked, what does it take to set up for an investigation? The simple ones and the more intricate ones. And I'm going to break it down this way. My belief is that, from what I see on my Facebook feed for people in the paranormal, it feels like the majority of people in the paranormal they want to investigate locations. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of great locations. We're doing it in August over at the Anderson House. But the thing is that where a lot of us came from is the residential cases, meaning that people who are living in houses, they're just living their lives, they're getting paranormal activity, they need help. So they're going to reach out to people like myself, Shar, other people in the field here in Twin Cities, all around the country, and we start doing an interview. We work with them, they work with us, the clients who live in these homes, and we have a kind of an interview process that we give to these people. Understand this. We have to be very careful of our own safety. Our safety is very important here because we're going into a house that we don't know anything about the people there. Obviously, they're on the same end, the other side of it. But we have to be very careful. We have to ask questions. Some of the questions might be insulting in the sense if people are not ready for it. And we have to let them know the type of questions we're going to ask. Any history of drug abuse, any history of mental illness, any history of, anything that might kind of turn us away from helping because we have to look after our own safety going into these places. It doesn't mean that if somebody does something that we are just going to be like, well, forget it then. But we have to know. We have to be very careful about it. We have to screen these people. And we have to also understand so much of the cases that come to us. And I wouldn't doubt that a number of the other paranormal teams in the area probably have the same sort of thing, that what it comes down to at the end of the day for a lot of these residential cases is mental health. And we've run into some cases where we've done some screening, and like there is one that a young lady was being terrorized by spirit. And we got on to StreamYard, which is like a Zoom, to do an interview. And because they're in another state, we were doing our own thing. And it became very clear that the family members around her were not treating her well at all. And so it's stuff like that those are red flags to us. And the thing is, we can't just be like, I'm sorry, I guess we can't help. We're busy, or, I'm moving that day, whatever. You have to be pretty honest about it. Otherwise, they're not going to get the help. They're going to be angry. They might be very angry with us, but you have to be honest and be like, this is what we're seeing. We're not sure if it's true paranormal activity or if, in fact, the way that she is being treated is having a massive effect on her, which in fact might actually cause some kind of poltergeist perhaps or something. But, it's like some things have to change before we can help out. And often, to be very honest, they'll just be like, well, then forget you. And then they'll call the next people. But in this particular case, I know that it had been kind of passed through a number of teams. And I have to say, I think those are the teams that have the integrity that you need in the field, because the field is about integrity. If you're doing the residential cases, integrity of like, you have them sign something before, then that's the client, that is. You have the client sign something before you set foot in the house saying, this is how much we can disclose at any point in the investigation. If the client tells us, we want to be completely private about it, you have to honor it. You could have 15 full body apparitions come into the room, sit down, talk to you. One of them could be Abraham Lincoln. You have it all on video. You have this amazing moment. The only people you can share that with, because they signed that, is them. You can't be like, well, I know you signed this, but this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to go and post it regardless because I'm after fame. You can't do that. You have to follow the protocol that was put into place that they signed, because word gets around, first of all, and it's also not the right thing to do. Also, if you are, you can't ask for money. I know that we live in a world that everything costs money. If you're doing a paranormal investigation of a resident or any business, you can't go in and be like, well, that's going to be $300, because that's not why you're in it. And we tell people, we put it out there. All of the teams put it out there. If you're running into people who are wanting to charge you, stay away, because there are plenty who won't charge. And those are the people you want to work with. So you have that. Once you get in there, once you get into the place, it's like any other you figure out the rooms. I mean, you listen to what the client says. You kind of go those hot spots. You figure out, you have a plan. You have a plan of who does what on the team. It's not about like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to ask a question. Well, okay, I'm going to ask a question, and these questions don't match, and this is what this is. That's what that is. You have to be able to have a cohesive plan of how you're going to move forward. What's the purpose of everybody in that room, and what is the purpose of like who's going to do what and who's going to do what afterwards? Because if you're going to do anything, and you tell the client, we're going to have this for you by this date, you owe that to them. This is a very strict bond. It's hard to do, especially if there's only a few of you on the team, but that's the stuff when you're getting into it. Now, I'm just going to say, Shar and I do a class on all this, and Diana was part of it. She took it, and we go through all of this. We go through steps for being a paranormal investigator. We go through paranormal and everything else. And I definitely, if anyone's interested, we don't have a class up yet. We're going to have something out there for people to let us know you're interested in. You can send me a note at comment at ghostboxradio.com. Got to get used to that. And let us know. We'll put you on a list and let you know when the next one's out there. It's a 6-week course. It really, really gets in depth on everything. And we'll talk more about that at some point for sure. And we're always really excited about that. Let's do this. Let's take our last break. When we come back, we're going to talk about scary places. We're going to talk about a couple other events we have going on. It's very exciting, a lot going on. And I really am happy that you're part of this journey. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950.
Hi, Matt McNeil for Rudy Luther Toyota. You've heard me talk about the Rudy Luther Toyota We Buy program. Now hear from someone who's actually done it, me. Our kids' car, the 2006 Toyota Sienna, served us well for 17 years, but it was finally time to say goodbye. The We Buy program is really simple. I gave them some basic information. We set up an appointment, and after a quick verification, they gave me an estimate and a check, and they made me a generous offer. It was that fast. See for yourself. Try the Rudy Luther Toyota We Buy program at rudyluthertoyota.com.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with metamorphosisconnections.com. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search metamorphosisconnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on metamorphosisconnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting metamorphosisconnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth.
We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
So what are you doing on July 14th? I think you should come out to the Grand House in Rush City, Minnesota. First of all, the Grand House is absolutely gorgeous. It's historic. It's also haunted. Rush City is beautiful. But we're having an event there on July 14th where we are actually having some of our students come in, and we are going to be telling about one of our greatest paranormal sessions that we've ever had. And that's going to be at the Grand House. That's going to be at 6:30 p.m. is when the presentation starts. There's going to be a buffet of dinner available for an extra cost. To get into the presentations, $10, and then an extra cost for the buffet dinner, which is going to be fantastic. Those doors open for the dinner at 5:30. We're going to be playing a lot of evidence. We're going to be playing a lot of clips. And the story is, I still can't get over how truly touching, amazing, but also fully developed in terms of all sorts of paranormal touch points that you can actually trace back to something tangible and real. And I'm asking you to come out there July 14th, check it out, check out the hotel, check out Rush City. It's going to be amazing. That's July 14th. Information about that is on charvinity.com. It's also on ghostboxradio.com. We have it on our Facebook pages. Please go check it out. Now, as we finish up here, and we're wrapping up the show here, we got a lot of questions. Like Kyle had asked, can we talk about the Anderson House and a little bit of the history and stuff? We'll definitely get to that on a later program. Thank you for the suggestion, though, and we do need to talk about that. But Brad had asked, what are the scariest moments in investigation? And I can have a full episode just hitting those highlights. I think we might do that at some point, where we're also talking about other people as well, because I mean, we enter into the paranormal, love and light, trying to help people, but talking about scary moments, that's just part of the job. That is something that happens. And at some places, I remember one residential case, I was rushed by a spirit, like you could just feel someone running up to you. And that's just, that's really, it's not scary per se, but it's off-putting. I always go back to Villisca. I always go back to the first time I've been to Villisca, and so much had happened. And we've played some of the Spirit Box recordings before on here, but the thing that I will never forget is after we were upstairs in the parents' room, we were basically chased out of upstairs by physical attacks. We had our tail between our legs. We ran downstairs. The person who was leading the investigation, she was just like, well, one of us should go up there. And I'm like, why the heck would we do that? I'm like, let's get out of here. But she's just like, no, she's like, I will go up there. I'm like, that's, first of all, yeah, we go back up there, but why does it have to be one person? That just seems silly. No one else on the team wanted to go with her. finally she said to me, and I wasn't part of their team, I was just along. And she's finally like, would you go up there with me? And I'm like, absolutely. So we go to the attic, which happens to be on the same floor as the parents' room and the children's room. And if you don't know the story about Villisca, I don't have time to go into it. Look it up. The murders of Villisca happened earlier this month in, 1912? And it took the Titanic off the front page of the newspaper because it was such a horrific thing. But we're up there in the dark, so you shouldn't be able to see a whole lot in there. But I remember sitting in front of us, while we're sitting there, there's this black mass that is folding in on itself, up in the air. It's folding in on itself, and that ain't right. I'm sorry, that ain't right. I don't know what that was. That's not good. And I don't think that what happened, those axe murders that happened at Villisca in 1912, that is the consequence of that black mass. People, for some reason, people started to come into this house, and they started to conjure, and they started to do black magic, and they started to do a whole bunch of things they weren't supposed to. And that's why I always call that house the STD of the paranormal, because they're going in there, they're not cleaning out the house energetically. People try, and I always laugh at that. You can't do it. You can't clean it out. But people try, and what ends up happening is that they're like, and it happened with the person that was doing the event with, or the investigation with me at Villisca. She was running the show, so to speak, and she crossed everyone over. She's like, I did it. I crossed them over. And I'm like, people have been trying to do this for decades, and you are able to do it? No. Matter of fact, the week after we left, somebody who was doing doing an investigation there, he felt compelled to stab himself in the house, and he had to be airlifted to a hospital. So no, honey, you did not cleanse the house. You did not cross it over. You and your stick of sage did nothing. That place, there is something there that is beyond abnormal, beyond paranormal. And you can go and try to figure it out what it is. And actually, I think maybe Shar and I had some good ideas about it, but you got to treat that place with not fear, but respect, in a sense, because that place will kick you in the behind if you're not very careful. And I mean, there's a lot of locations that are like that. And now I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people talking about Villisca. I've been there and nothing happened whatsoever. Yes, I know. We've experienced that as well. But you have to be careful in these places, and you have to be careful, especially in that one. That one is very, very weird. And last time we were there in October, and there was really nothing. Like the energy, there wasn't really anything there. But the first time I went there, it was so heavy. It was so dark. I mean, the rooms were dark, even on a sunny day, because they were all, it was just frightening. And that's something that I will never forget. Someday we'll have Shar on. She could talk about her experience if she would like to. It's not a great experience, and it really takes a lot out of people when they talk about that. That's something that we could talk about later. Once again, don't forget to check out our events over at the Grant House on July 14th, and also Dave Schrader's event on August 18th through 20th. This is Ghostbox Radio on AM 950. Thank you all very much for joining.
New at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Kuma wood stoves and fireplace inserts. American-made, sturdy and efficient wood heaters. All models qualify for 30% tax credit you can earn for installing efficient and renewable wood heat. Come see the new wood-burning Kuma stoves and